Welcome to the Powerful Komiksman podcast. This is Komiksman Jerald Dorado, and this is the continuation of my series 40 Life Wisdom at 40. Okay, so these are some life lessons that I believe in, that I've learned in my 40 years of existence on planet Earth. Okay, so before we continue, this podcast is brought to you by Miyucha Luxcakes. Okay, so that's our little online pastry shop. Check out at hello.miyucha on Instagram and Facebook. We have vegan cakes, cookies, even wedding cakes, donuts, and all other good stuff in there. Check it out at hello.miuccia. Hello.mucha. Uh, okay, so let's go on with the number 8 entry on our 40 Life Wisdom at 40 series. Okay, so if you are watching on YouTube, so this podcast is available on YouTube, Facebook, and Spotify and podcast platforms. If you're watching on YouTube and seeing the video version, the title is number 8. The problem could be you. Okay, but I'm probably gonna use the title. What's that? Strive to be self-aware. Okay, so that is my number 8 life wisdom for this episode. I'm gonna talk about self-awareness. If you're watching on YouTube, I have the GIF going on loop. It's Jim Carrey on Liar Liar. It's that elevator scene when he came out and admitted that it was him who farted inside the elevator. It's one of the funniest scenes in the movie, and Liar Liar is one of my favorite movies of all time. Probably my favorite comedy movie of all time. Liar Liar. Um yeah, I just chose that gift because it's funny, and it's accepting. He is accepting that he was the culprit. Well, if you watch the movie, it's a different context, of course, but I think it's perfect for this. This is gonna be probably a little serious, this episode. So it's good to have this comic relief of a image playing while I talk about serious matters, because nothing could be more serious than looking at yourself and analyzing yourself and admitting every flaw you have. Okay, so this is different. This this topic is not gonna be talking. Do not mistake this as self-blaming. Okay, that's different. Self-awareness is different from being from putting yourself for blaming yourself, basically, for placing yourself to be in the role of the aggressor, of somebody who is to blame all the time. Actually, that's one form of playing victim, diba? Kasi being guilty, that's another thing, another way of looking at it. Being guilty for every situation, that is not self-awareness. That is something else that maybe we would talk about later on in this series. But self-awareness is just it's just knowing yourself. Actually, it's that's we will go back in the first entry of the series. Well, we went to Plato. To Plato, to Socrates rather. The Socratic Paradox. Um, I only know that I do not know. Diba? Yun yung Socratic Paradox. And now, this um this saying, I forget what kind of figure of speech this is, but this phrase "know thyself" has been attributed to Socrates and to a few other historical philosophers, and it's just that, knowing yourself. It is very simple to say, but this is actually a very profound, profound activity, profound thought, profound idea. The act of looking through your deepest thoughts, on knowing how you think, how you respond, how you act, how you talk, the things that you say compared to the things that you actually think, and the things that you actually do. Those could be different things. And this practice of knowing yourself, if you are successful to know all your weaknesses, all of your strengths, because this is not, again, this is not guilt tripping yourself into shame, or parang, or the opposite, na parang patting yourself in the back and be be grandize yourself into being awesome all the time, that you are faultless. It could be that, or you could be um at fault at everything. Di ba? So you would have to you would need humility, you would need a tremendous amount of honesty, and tremendous amount of of courage. Courage. I think courage. It is courageous to examine yourself, because you could face demons in your heart, in your mind. You could be confronting experiences that you've been trying to avoid for for the most of your life. It is hard, and it is sometimes conflicted to what you become, what you want yourself to become, or what you want, on how you want to project yourself to others. Maybe you want to be to be known as a badass. You want to look smart. You want to look cool, but but you really aren't. Di ba? I'm sure we know some people. Me personally, I know several people who thinks they're something else than how I see them. Diba? I know a guy who thinks he's a rock star, when I know for I I know for sure that he he really acts like a dork, 'di ba? Merong iba na parang, I'm sure may mga kilala ko diyan, ganda parang gandang-ganda sa sarili, na parang hindi commensurate to reality. Sometimes these things are funny. And this is, you can observe this for real. This doesn't make you it doesn't make you a hater to observe an observable thing, 'di ba? phenomenon, or ano yun, if you can see that the person is acting um more attractive than what they really are. Meron akong kabatch dati, sinasabi niya kamukha niya raw si Alicia Silverstone. 'Di ba? She really thinks that she looks like Alicia Silverstone. Well, good for her if that makes her happy. Wala naman siyang na 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 sasagasaan, 'di ba? Pero I could see that she doesn't. 'Di ba? Yun ang problema dun eh. But those are just little things, 'di ba? That's just a minor example. I don't know how she carried herself thinking that way. Alam mo 'yun? Kasi it would depend on how you carry yourself with others din kasi. Hindi naman just because you think this way. Parang you can think this way, parang you might think somebody as something else, pero in their mind, ano sila, parang either they're better or they're worse. So, I think looking at who you really are and knowing who you are is a thought that that doesn't really even come to mind to a lot of people. Probably most people did not even think about doing this. Parang putting yourself into a third person's in the third person, rather, putting yourself in the third person or second person ba, basta parang you separate yourself and you can look at somebody which is yourself, parang looking at yourself as someone else. I think that's a better way of saying that. Looking at yourself in as if you are somebody else, looking at another person. It's kasi I think that's the only way for you to judge, to have a proper judgment. Of course, we have our different. Every person have different measure stick to judge other people, diba? But that's gonna be up to you, how you were brought up, what are your beliefs, ano yung mga values mo, yung mga factors magkakaiba na yan eh. Pero whatever your standards are, you would have to apply the same one on yourself, 'di ba? It would take honesty and humility para magawa mo 'yun. Kasi if not, then if you're then you're gonna be you're gonna be disingenuous. It's gonna be fake. Dapat you need to judge yourself in your own moral compass, in your own level of understanding, in your basically how you judge others, 'di ba? If not, then hindi ka totoo. You're gonna be biased or you're gonna be too harsh. And pag ginawa mo yun, then you would have an inaccurate assessment of who you are, and you're gonna be fooled. It's not gonna benefit you. Baka makasama pa sa'yo. But of course, these standards can change. They can change, especially if you were young, and then as you grow old, you would learn new things. You would discover new values. You would discover um, new ideas that could affect how you think, and that's a good thing. It is revisable. Life, your your ideas, you are allowed to change your mind. Diba? We're gonna talk more about that in on another entry. But you can do that. Diba? But knowing yourself, that would be that would be awesome. Because it's like knowing a new friend. Diba? It's like meeting a new friend, actually. Me, I think I know myself, or maybe not so much, kasi merong ano eh. There's this thing called the Johari Window. There are four windows. Let's not fuck this up. Let's look it up. Johari Window. It I don't know if I'm spelling it. Johari Window. Okay. So there are four. It's self-awareness, 'di ba? It's about self-awareness, yung Johari Window. So the first window is sa ano pa to, sa elementary pa yata ako eh. So this the Johari Window is about knowing yourself, 'di ba? Parang the first window is the open self. That is the things that you know, at saka alam din ng iba. So open things that you know are true about yourself. Like for me, I know that I know how to draw, and also known to others. Most of my friends know that I am an artist, that I can draw. Diba? Yun. And then blind self is the second window. First is open self. Second window is blind self. And these are things that are unknown to you, unknown to self, but known to others. Diba? One example, if I'm gonna use myself as an example, was when I was a kid, when I was in elementary, I used to sing a lot. But I didn't know na may nagagandahan pala sa boses ko. Nobody told me. No, not my relatives na I sing well. Diba? Parang a little bit, pero parang it's not, kumbaga nobody was impressed or uh, showed appreciation sa aking pagkanta nung bata pa ako. So, but then I had this group of friends na mga classmates ko. Parang magaling ka man si Jerald. And I didn't, kahit sinasabi nila yun, hindi ako naniniwala. One thing is because siguro my my self-image back then is since I'm an artist and everybody knew that I was an artist, yun yung self-image ko. So, hindi ako singer. Ano ako? Artist ako. Nagdo-drawing ako. That's how I knew myself. So I didn't know that I sang well back then. And or maybe siguro let's say feeling mo may mga most example nito, may nayayabangan sa iyo pero hindi mo alam na mayabang ka pala. O kaya hindi may mga times na hindi okay kang magsalita, yung tono ng boses mo, mga ganun. Sometimes you're not aware. Okay, so that's the blind self window. And then hidden self, it's these are qualities that you know about yourself pero hindi mo sinasabi sa iba, 'di ba? So let's say may fetish ka, 'di ba? So that's one example, probably the easiest example. Or you have a secret past, or meron kang hidden crush, mga ganyan. Parang you know it for yourself. O meron kang kinikim-kim na galit towards another person. So that's the hidden self window. So the fourth window is the mystery self, na parang unknown to you and also unknown to others. So alam mo yun, malay mo, walang nakakaalam. Ikaw pala yung natatagong anak ni Duterte, kunyari. Parang ganun. Or or you have a potential, maybe bata ka pa, you have a potential to lead, or you have a potential to be a stand-up comic, you have a potential to be a public servant, mga ganyan. Sometimes madidiscover mo yan eh. Doesn't mean naman na dun sa mystery self that it's not gonna be open and it could be known to you someday or to others. So these are ways to know who you are, and I think every person should take time to know yourself, because sometimes we're gonna talk about this later on. It's easier to talk to yourself if you know him or her, diba? It's easier to talk to someone. You can, once in times of doubt, you can put yourself on another person's shoes and talk to yourself as just as any other person you know, diba? That way it could be easier to confront him or reason with him or her or forgive him, diba? It's the ability to know your limits, kasi knowing your limits doesn't mean na it is the limit, na parang hanggang doon ka na lang, 'di ba? Knowing your limit could also mean that, okay, this is where I'm at and I want to expand this, 'di ba? Knowing how much you can expand, 'di ba? Once you know the boundaries, then you can have an idea on how much you can expand to gain more, or alam mo yun, and you can apply that, of course, to anything, not just to physical things, but to principles, di ba? Parang if are you gonna be open, let's say in a religion, are you gonna be, let's say you are a theist or agnostic, diba? Parang these are the only things that my values would tolerate, diba? But if you know that, then maybe you can look outside and see na, wow, meron pa palang iba, and maybe I can accommodate them as well. Of course, that would be a personal choice to you. Kasi kung ayaw mo, wala namang makakapigil sa'yo eh. Unless magiging violente ka, nobody would care, really. Diba? And that would also apply to your abilities. Let's say, okay, magaling akong mag-drawing ng anime, diba? Maybe hindi lang anime yung pwede kong i-drawing. 'di ba? Pwede rin ako mag-drawing ng ibang styles. Or maybe magaling lang ako sa backgrounds. Okay, hindi ako marunong mag-drawing ng building, 'di ba? So knowing your limit, if you know your limit, the limit of your abilities, then you can open yourself para malaman mo kung alin yung mga weaknesses mo para you can work on it. 'Di ba? That's I think that is the best use for that. Your limit is not uh is not a prison. At least let's celebrate the fact that we live in a time where it could not be that. It can that limits are right now virtually there's no limit for people who live in the free world. Diba? Let's capitalize on that. Okay. So what else could you be self-aware of? What else? So you know yourself, you know your limits, you know your potential, and you can be honest, and you can have a starting point. You can have a pivot. Naka-pivot ka doon na this is where I'm at. Okay. Again, this is honesty. If you think you should be more successful, and you need to be honest. Actually, I've experienced this. I thought at 40 I would be more successful. And I'm not. Okay? Unfortunately, I'm not. But we're not giving up, okay? We're not giving up. So who I thought I would be when I'm 40, unfortunately hindi ko naabot 'yon right now. And I don't think the last remaining month would be enough to accomplish the task. But alam mo yun, it's honesty. It is acceptance. Knowing yourself is also acceptance. Acceptance of reality. Because if you live in reality, then you live honestly. You are honest. Kumbaga, knowing yourself is being honest to yourself. And your first best friend should be yourself. Self-love will start if you know who you are. You cannot love someone you do not know. So you need to know yourself first before you can love that person. Because that person might need help. Di ba? That person might need understanding, might need somebody to notice him. And what's great about this is that somebody who can help yourself is also you. Diba? Diba mindfuck yun? That is mind-blowing. Diba? You cannot love someone you do not know. Diba? Paano mo mamahalin yung di ba? You don't know what's good about him or her. You don't know. Di ba, sino mong kakagusto doon? Di ba? Paano mo mamahalin yon? Somebody who... But, kasi one of the key things about confidence and happiness is liking yourself. Your goal for self-awareness is for you to be able to like that person. 'Di ba? No matter, okay, so if you discover who you are and you do not like that person, it's gonna hurt. Okay? You're gonna be disappointed. You're gonna be parang, kumbaga parang you're gonna feel let down like you've never felt before. Kasi parang no, parang looking in the mirror and seeing na it's not as pretty. The reflection that you see is not as pretty as you would like to think. That is that could be tough to other people, but but you have no choice. If that is you, then you would need to accept that person. You would need to forgive that person. You would need to help that person. That's the only way. That's the only way you can begin. Self-healing will start if you can know yourself. If you can forgive yourself, if you can help yourself. And unfortunately, nobody can help you unless you start believing you can be helped. Diba? Kasi that is the fundamental na ano eh. There's no way you can change someone who doesn't want to change. So hindi ka nila matutulungan. And that's not to discourage you, but the what I'm saying, what I've been saying in this episode is that you can begin. Of course, sometimes it would not be enough. But kumbaga parang you would need to start. The first step in healing is accepting accepting who you are and that you need help. Your deficiencies, your weaknesses. That doesn't mean that you would need to be manipulated. Be careful of manipulators still. But alam mo yun, forgiving yourself goes a long way. We're gonna talk about forgiveness later on in the series. There's a lot more to say about that. So keep subscribing, keep watching for more episodes of especially of this series and well, all of my content as well, my interviews, my podcasts. And yun. Let's go back to the title dito sa YouTube video. The problem could be you, 'di ba? It's sometimes you blame everybody else but you fail to look at yourself. 'Di ba? Parang if everybody's treating you bad, maybe it's hard to work with you. Maybe it's tough to hang out with you. Maybe mabantot ka. 'Di ba? Pwede yun eh. 'Di ba? Well, it doesn't mean that it's everything's gonna be your fault. Like I said earlier. Pero you have to be self-aware. You have to be humble enough and you have to be honest para malaman mo yon. Kasi you could try the same way that nobody can help you. You cannot also help the world without being prepared to be helped. 'Di ba? Parang kahit anong ayos ang gawin mo, kahit anong paglilinis diyan, kahit anong organization ang gawin mo, If the problem is you and you cannot determine it, then it will remain a problem, 'di ba? A problem undetermined will not be resolved. That's just the way it is. And yun, the first, maybe if you need to think about this, maybe if you think your life, there's nothing is going right, you have failed relationships, nobody seems to like you, mga ganyan, ask yourself, have you taken time to know yourself and to know if you are actually likable and if you are somebody you can work with? Because if you cannot work with yourself, and if you find yourself to be very difficult to like, if you don't want to hang out with yourself, then maybe it's you who's the problem. And all efforts of reaching out to you are just disregarded and discarded and unappreciated. It could happen. This might sound harsh, but it happens. Maybe not just to you, maybe you know somebody else. Kasi na hindi naman just because hindi lang naman ikaw ang ganun. Yun yung isipin mo din. Hindi lang naman ikaw yung ganyan. Madami ang mga tao na nangangailangan ng tulong. And just needs to start. Kasi knowing yourself that's also the beginning of you taking responsibility in your own life. You need to know what you're made of. And once you do, you need to be proud of who you are. Maybe you are not the perfect person yet. Well, you will never be the perfect person. Okay? There will always be flaws. Okay? Alam mo yun, it's the goal is not to be perfect, but at least you need to like yourself. You need to be able to say that you like yourself without guilt. Okay? Kasi a lot of us, probably most of us people, are conditioned to not like yourself. Not to take too much credit, diba? Or not to be boastful of what you have. That could affect things as well. But if you can know yourself and be honest about it, I think that would be a great start to fixing some of the unhappiness in your life. You cannot fix what you don't know needs to be fixed. Tama ba yung pagkasabi ko nun? Basta. You get what I mean? I'm gonna stop right here before I start talking about things that's included in the other entries in this 40 Life Wisdom at 40 series. I'm sure babalik-balikan natin to, and maybe we can, if I missed out something, I can always create new content. Okay? So, that's it for now. Ang haba nitong episode na to. This might be the longest so far. But, it is what it is. Okay? That's it. Powerful Komiksman Podcast. See you next episode. Bye-bye.